Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the Model Railway News. We had a great January with lots of new announcements from Hornby, and now here we are in February and there is so much to talk about, including some very exciting new announcements. So I think it's fair to say that this year, 2025, is gonna be a banger. Anyway, Bachmann have made their Spring 2025 announcements, and there are some new announcements here as well. Now, once again, for me, it is EFE Rail that is carrying the range, at least in terms of new announcements. They have announced a brand new Class 74 electric in 00 scale. The Class 74 was made up of just 10 locomotives, which were introduced from 1967, and there's a small selection of models available to pre-order to start with, in a range of BR Blue liveries, plus a weathered example. The RRP though is £214.95, and a typical retailer price is just over £180. That makes the 74 significantly more expensive than EFE Rail's last new electric, that was the Bullied Booster, which was available for less than £160 at launch. Of course, that begs the question, what is the Class 74 going to have? Well, we don't have a full detailed list of specs at the moment, but the sample photos posted by Bachmann do show a great level of detail, plus a wealth of separately fitted etched grills, which look really good, plus lots of other fine parts that you can see. They've said these locos are powered by a coreless motor, which is quite interesting for a loco of this size, which drives all wheels, and it's all-wheel pickup as well apparently. They have 21-pin DCC sockets, full lighting including cab lights and illuminated blinds, plus switches so that analog users can have some control over the lighting too. There's also livery samples on display, which is pretty interesting, isn't it? So this is not a model that's just at the tooling stage. They're not just demonstrating first shots. This is a project that seems to be well advanced, and they've obviously been working on this for a good long time if they've got decorated samples on show already. And these look wonderful. Yeah, the BR Blue looks really crisp. Gorgeous models, I think. The delivery apparently is expected for mid-2025, so seriously, this project really does seem to be coming towards the end. Interesting that they kept it so late to announce this one. Looking forward to seeing these though, and there are affiliate links in the description for those wanting to pre-order. There are some new tooled items in Bachmann's main range though, specifically some new bullied coaches which they're adding to their bullied lineup. These are the Diagram 2406 brake composite and the Diagram 2017 third open coach. These are a bit further away though than the Class 74, with delivery not expected until sometime in 2026. Having said that though, there are decorated samples on display already, and as you can see, these look like pretty nifty coaches. They've got a BR Maroon livery, which looks nice and trim, BR Blood and Custard, and also BR X Southern Green too. These are expensive though, £74.95 RRP or £63.70 at the retailers. That is very expensive, I think, for a Bachmann coach, and not too far away from the Rapido B-set coaches on price. I'm very curious to see whether Bachmann's bullied coaches are as feature-packed as the B-sets were. Do they have the full lighting? Are they going to have this level of interior detail? And if not, why are they so expensive? Well, hopefully they will have all of those features. This next announcement came as a real surprise. EFE Rail have announced their first O-gauge locomotive, and that is this, the Hudswell Clark 060. Now this is not a brand new tooled model. This loco has been available before under the Ixion brand, and me and my friend Dan did a sort of a review on this many years ago, so if you want to see what this loco is like, or at least what it was like then, check out the link up there. But now it's back with some new liveries, as you can see, including the MSC lined grey, which I think looks brilliantly smart. I am a sucker for grey liveried locos. The RRP is £299.95 or £254.95 at the retailers, which I do think is quite pricey given the age of this model now, especially compared with the likes of Dapol's new Austerity, which is a new tooled model and is much cheaper than this at £229.50. But from what I remember, the Hudswell Clark was a lovely loco, so if you're interested in that, feel free to check it out. In addition to this, Bachmann have announced a good wealth of locomotives, wagons and train packs which are returning to their range, so check out the affiliate links in the description if you're interested. Up next, Rapido have been up to their usual tricks once again, and they've made yet more major announcements. The really big one though is this. They've announced an all-new Caledonian 123. Now this is a locomotive that Hornby have been making available on and off since 1963, but this will be the very first time since then that an all-new tooled Caledonian 123 has been available. And looking at these renders that Rapido have showed, seeing all of the detail that they've got, it's obvious just how desperately this model needed retooling. The loco dates back to the Caledonian Railway in 1886, and it was designed by Dougal Drummond for express passenger work. Rapido are producing this model in all appropriate liveries. That's the LMS lined black, which looks pretty smart. They've also got the LMS lined red. That's a classic one that Hornby used to do. And of course, we've got the original Caledonian Railway blue, although this model depicts the rebuilt post-1927 condition. These models are just renders, of course, but already this model looks stunning. They're also doing a what-if livery in the form of this, the BR black with the early crest. This is not a livery that existed on the real locomotive, but honestly, seems like a pretty smart move. That way BR modelers have a way to enjoy this model if they want to, with the strict understanding that it's not quite accurate, but you know, not everybody is too fussed about that. Spec-wise, these models will include 2 factory-fitted speakers for quality sound. They will have NEM pockets, which is good to see. They're going to have 21-pin DCC sockets, stay-alive capacitors pre-fitted, a depiction of the motion between the frames. I love seeing that. That's obviously not something the original Triang model had. A firebox flicker effect and sprung buffers. And now comes the tricky part. How much is this going to cost? Well, the price is exactly the same as Rapido's Sterling single. So that's £249.95 RRP for the DCC ready model and £212.45 at the retailers. Of course, that is an awful lot of money. It turns out, at least in my opinion, that the Sterling single was worth it, but will this one be worth it as well? It's a very, very difficult thing to create a model of the standard of that Sterling single. Will the 123 match it? I really hope so, because this is a beautiful loco. Rapido have also announced a second batch of Evolution coaches, which of course includes the Caledonian Railway livery. Obviously that's perfect for the 123, but there's a huge range of other liveries that they've announced as well, including this one, which is the Highland Railway green. Really enjoying the look of this livery. It's quite an unusual green though, isn't it? And these of course would be a decent choice for the Highland Railway Jones Goods locomotives. I won't go through all of the new liveries, but as you can see, there's a decent selection, and feel free to check out the affiliate links below if you want to see them. Rapido have also described that the lights in these Evolution coaches will be adjustable. That means whether you prefer your coach lighting to be good and bright, or slightly dimmer and more subtle, a small potentiometer on the circuit board will allow you to adjust it to taste. It's a really good feature to see, isn't it? And I'm surprised that that's not more widespread. Yeah, very good choice. Finally, Rapido have announced a new LNWR wagon, specifically the Diagram D84, in a wide range of different liveries, extending from the LNWR itself, as you can see, through to the LMS and later BR liveries. These will have the same price as usual from Rapido, so £32.95 RRP or £27.95 at the retailers. Finally, on the subject of Rapido then, obviously I've already briefly mentioned the Sterling single. This is a model that came out recently and I gave it an absolutely glowing review, a stunning model. But unfortunately the screws which were supposed to hold the removable splashers were missing, so I couldn't demonstrate that feature. So I got in touch with Rapido, who were good enough to send me some screws so that finally I can demonstrate this feature. So I've had some comments from others saying they had the same issue, no screws included. All you've got to do is fill out the warranty form on Rapido's website and they'll sort you out, so excellent customer service as ever. Anyway, I've got the screws now, so finally I can demonstrate what those splashers look like. So this was quite tricky to do, obviously, because the screws are very, very small. So to get better access, I took off the front bogie, which you can do quite easily just with the single screw. And then I fitted the adjustable splashers in the widest possible position to give that front bogie as much movement as possible. And here's how it looks. I think I got these on right. You are limited as to where they can go so that they clear the sort of crosshead guide here. So they are quite wide, but will this still work on second radius? Let's see. All right, here goes. Oh, it did actually. Pretty cool. So I think I'll be leaving those on. Sounds like the wheels might be touching them a little bit, so maybe I'll take them off if it does become an issue. But yeah, for now, the splashers seem to work more or less okay on second radius. Up next then, Oxford Rail are back with a real boom, and I'm not just talking about the Bosch Buster railgun either. They've made 2025 announcements which do include some new tooled items. They've announced the return of some previous models, including the excellent Pilchard wagon, which is back at just a hair over £20 at the retailers. Incredible value still on those. And also the Great Eastern banana vans are back in a new livery at £16.95. Very impressive prices for this day and age. Like I say though, there has been a brand new tooled announcement as well. That would be this, the Great Western Totem A wagon. This is a very small 25-foot bogie wagon which was used for carrying heavy cast iron parts for industrial use. They were extremely limited in range and speed, but later examples could carry up to 50 tons. So I think this is a pretty unusual choice of wagon to see in 00, but a very welcome one, of course. They've announced a good range of different liveries actually, and the models are said to include die-cast bodies, so they're going to be heavy and quality. NEM couplings, they've got separate bearings for the wheels, very cool, and even sprung buffers. All for an RRP of less than £30 or £24.60 at the retailers. Once again from Oxford Rail, this sounds like outstanding value for a high quality and new tooled item. There's more news on Oxford's new Fordston tractor shunters too. The price has been announced to be £11.95 RRP or £10.15 at the retailers, which I suppose is about in line with Oxford's die-cast road vehicles. So a pretty neat little crossover between Oxford's rail and road range. Anyway, if you're interested in any of these new Oxford announcements, check out the affiliate links down below. Up next then, there's another update from Accurascale, who have also made a new announcement in 00, this time for more rolling stock. They've announced the BR1/051 China clay wagons. British Railways built close to 1,000 of these wagons throughout the mid to late 1950s, and these wagons usually featured tarpaulins or covers, making them quite recognisable. Accurascale's model will have the tarpaulin sheets or hoods, which is really cool. Plus they're going to have die-cast chassis, bringing the weight to a mighty 42 grams. That's pretty good for a small four-wheel wagon, isn't it? But they should still be easy to haul thanks to the separate brass bearings. They'll also feature a wealth of separately fitted parts, some made from etched metal, which sounds like it'll be good quality. Other features include sprung buffers, instanter couplings included as optional extras, and a tooling suite allowing for different variations to be produced. These wagons are available as triple packs, which is fairly standard for Accurascale, at £89.95 each. That makes each wagon about £30. So, yep, quite expensive, but I would say that puts these about in line with Rapido's models, plus £2 or £3 per model for the tarpaulin or the cover. So, yet more high-spec models coming to the 00 railway scene then, and these samples look absolutely fantastic already, so hopefully there'll be more news on these soon. Up next then, I wanted to give an update on KR Models and the Bullied Leader locomotive. Now, you've probably seen my review of that loco. It was an absolute disaster. There were build quality issues, issues with the accuracy, and of course a wheel which was completely loose. So the model was a flop in my opinion, but I do want to publicly say that KR Models customer service was absolutely excellent. I dropped them an email about this and Keith was very quick to offer me a complete refund. In fact, I got it there and then before I even sent the model off. Then he sent me a label so that I could return the model to him. So as much as I've completely lost faith in KR Models as a manufacturer, I can't fault their quick response and their customer service. Now, there was a bit of a weird quote in one of the emails from Keith. He said, and I'll quote this, "Yours must be an isolated case." Now, I have to say I don't understand how KR could possibly have been under that impression, because I've read literally dozens of reports from people with exactly the same problem as I did, namely the wheels being completely loose. You only have to have a quick look on the forums or on social media or even my YouTube comments to know that this issue is anything but an isolated case. So I'm not sure why KR would tell me that, but if you are having an issue with the wobbly wheels, I've got good news for you. It's just in your mind. You're just imagining it. Mine was the only example with that issue apparently, because Keith said mine's an isolated case. So hopefully that makes you feel a bit better. Finally then, I've got an update from Dapol and their 00 scale auto coaches. We've heard a lot about these recently, but now Dapol have come out with some decorated samples. And these look just amazing. We've got the Crimson Lake, which looks really lovely with the lining. I really do enjoy this one. I'm quite tempted by it actually. Then there's a great rendition of the Great Western Chocolate and Cream. Again, the lining and the detail in the paintwork just looks excellent. Then there's a simpler Carmine and Cream, still looking extremely trim, of course. And the simplest of all is the BR Crimson, and also the maroon one as well. As I've mentioned before, these are really high-spec coaches, so it's great to see these shaping up so well. At the retailers, these can be had for £68, which seems pretty fair, I would say, given how high-spec these are supposed to be. But I can't wait till these come out so that I can look at the interiors. Obviously, for that sort of price, I would expect something quite special on the inside. And obviously, with auto coaches, there's a lot of scope for interior detail there. So hopefully, Dapol will deliver. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching. That will just about do it for this episode of the Model Railway News. I've tried to cover as much as I possibly could do this time, although there were a lot of announcements, as you can see. All of this stuff new for February. Having said that though, if there is anything that I've not mentioned and you think it deserved a mention, feel free as usual to comment down below and let me know. For now though, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much once again for watching. Have a great rest of February, and I'll see you again in March for more Model Railway news. Cheers everybody, take care.